If you come into this with a positive perspective and say, I want to learn what she was thinking, maybe you'll understand what she's thinking versus looking for ways to beat it up. Hey, everybody, Pete Fletcher here from Around the Galaxy and ATG Live, part of the SSW network. Listen, I don't normally do these kind of videos. I've never done this kind of video before. In fact, where I respond to somebody else responding online about something else online. To me, it's always felt like sort of the cheapest way to do content, but that's a story for another day. In this case, I'm responding to a Star Wars theory video called Leslye Headland Responds to Yoda and the Acolyte, quote, "It's my show." Now, in this video, Star Wars Theory essentially does story time with Theory and reads an article to his viewers for whatever reason and provides his own commentary along the way. And I ended up watching this video and I found myself responding viscerally to some of the absurd comments he makes. So I've decided to share this video with you. And since he will never have somebody who has a counter perspective to him on his show, I've decided that I will provide my perspective. It's going to be raw. It's going to be real. And it's going to be my response to his, in some cases, absolutely batshit crazy responses to the Acolyte. Now, one more thing that's really important to know. People call me a Disney shill, and that's fine. But if you watch my channel, if you read my tweets, if you follow me online anywhere, you know that one of our mantras here at the SSW network is you don't have to like everything. You just can't be an asshole about it. And if you watch our videos, you'll see we have not loved absolutely everything that comes out of Lucasfilm and Disney in the last several years. We have very balanced conversations about what's good, what's bad, what we like and what we don't like. So this is not coming from a place of pure blind love of the Acolyte. One last thing, I enjoyed the Acolyte. To me, it was an excellent story. I really enjoyed the story, where it went and what it was trying to do. I did take issue with some of the execution, however. So I am not one of those people who say that the show is perfect, because to me, it absolutely was not. That being said, some of the takes from Star Wars Theory here are just completely off the wall, and I'd like to respond to them. I will put the link to it in the description below if you want to watch the whole thing. I will be editing some of this so that we don't have to go through all 19 minutes, especially because I'm going to respond to his responses. This would be a very long video if we did that. So without further ado, let's get started. I will be responding, stopping the video, giving my response along the way. So let's check it out.
Well, the last video was about Leslye Headland talking about Plagueis. And today we're going to be talking about Leslye Headland on getting Yoda into the Acolyte, starting from the end of the episode and working our way back. I hear you had to fight hard to get Yoda in the stinger. Leslye says, yes, I mean, I wouldn't say fight hard in a total super adversary way. It's more like a big character. So it was not fighting in an aggressive way, but definitely a spirited conversation. All right, so
of course it was a spirited conversation, because Yoda is one of the most protected pieces of the Star Wars franchise, always has been. Lucas has never even said where he comes from or what his species is. Getting Grogu into The Mandalorian was an act of God for all intents and purposes.
somebody obviously up there, whether it's Pablo, Dave Filoni, Kathleen, whatever, probably not Kathleen, she doesn't even know what the hell's going on.
Probably not Kathleen. She doesn't know what the hell's going on. Really? There you go. There's your little dig on Kathleen. It wouldn't be a theory video without that, would it?
Which then we get a little more insight. And in this line here, was it about the integrity of the brand? Yeah, Leslye says. There was the logistics of it all for sure. But then there were some, I'd say almost spiritual conversations about using such an iconic character. I felt strongly about it because I felt that, to me, Vernestra was in a situation that was so heightened and really needed to be taken care of internally. Well, yeah, no shit. By literally hiding everything from the Jedi High Council and then blaming it all on Soul. The fact that Ki-Adi Mundi is also hiding this information is wild to me.
Did you watch the show? Did you watch the show? The only time Ki-Adi Mundi was on screen, he himself said something to the effect of, it's a rogue Jedi. There's no reason for Ki-Adi Mundi to think that there's a Sith involved in this at all. That's aggravating. And if you watch the show, then you know that it is quite plausible and makes a lot of sense that Ki-Adi Mundi would not know that the Sith had returned. I can't believe I'm shouting about this. It's such a stupid thing. It's a freaking space opera.
It felt like she had to report to her superior and let him know what's up. Oh, yeah, finally. Only when she's tried to cover it up and destroy everything and ruin everything, then she has to go to literally the highest of the high and probably tell him what happened between her and her Padawan. Oh,
We haven't seen what she told Yoda. This was literally, as you even said at the beginning, the stinger at the end of the show. We don't know how deep this lie is going to go for Vernestra. We don't know what she's telling Yoda. We have no idea what's happening in that moment. You're making some assumptions here that are in bad faith.
it's not like it's the first time Yoda has hidden something from the Senate and the Republic. And this is where it gets absolutely ridiculous. I mean, the whole premise of this show was basically defund the Jedi. Okay.
Defund the Jedi. This is right-wing rhetoric. This is not, he's trying to tie it to a message of defund the police.
Okay, let's be real here. The Jedi are the bad guys. They are the oppressors. They are the dudes that came in and tried to take away a child from two witches. Okay, let's just be real. She's trying to throw some real themes into the mix here.
She first of all, good science fiction, good fiction reflects society. And I'm not saying he's right that this is a defund the police kind of message. However, yeah, of course she's throwing some real world themes into this.
And the Jedi were the ones that caused all of this chaos, and they're the ones to blame. And they killed the entire family of the witches. They left it in burns, and they left it in fire and wreckage. And then they took the children. They didn't save one, and blah, 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 blah.
Did he watch the show? Did he watch the show? The objective of the show was to show that decisions made in the moment can cause problems. And yes, that's exactly what happened. The Jedi went in. Soul felt the need to save the children. They were faced with something unexpected, something they had never seen before. They responded quickly and incorrectly, perhaps. Yeah, you want to tie this to defund the police. This is not about defunding the police, but it is about some of the bad decisions that law enforcement officers have made. And again, if anything, it paints them in a positive light by saying, man, they were in a situation that they didn't know how to prepare for. Nobody had prepared them for it. And oh my goodness, they went to the extreme, and it caused a bigger problem. So let's stop trying to make something out of this that it is not. And yes, the Jedi in the show are being shown as being fallible.
This is where it gets me pretty amped, all right? Because I really have a good understanding of the prequel trilogy. But because I had the opportunity to work in Star Wars, I just think a more interesting version of this is that he has some sort of understanding of what's going on. I didn't read that far, so he knows the whole time. And it's not like this is the first time Yoda has hidden something from the Senate and the... So now we got Ki-Adi Mundi corroborating. We got Yoda knowing about all of this and the deaths and all that stuff. Yeah. So now, officially, he is going to tell him about her Padawan, Chimere. He's going to tell him that he turned to the
How
dark
are you
side.
getting
He's got a
this?
red lightsaber, and
How are you getting this? We know nothing about what happens at the end of the show. Literally, she walks into the room and Yoda's there and she says, Master, we need to talk. She already lied to the Senate. She's lied to other Jedi. What makes you think she's going to tell the truth here? How deep does this go? We don't know. That's part of the interesting and intrigue part of this show. What you're doing is you're making assumptions based on a show that was entirely based on misdirection. You're absolutely creating issues that don't exist because of your media illiteracy. Watch the show and respond to what's in the show. This was not in the show.
either way, they've put themselves into a corner with Yoda. My God, I wish this was never made. Really, it's not like it's the first time Yoda has hidden something from the Senate and the Republic, she says. In the Clone Wars Season 6, it's revealed that he covered up the creation of the clone army and asked everybody to not say who was behind it. So it just felt to me that there was something fun to explore there if we were allowed to talk about it. And to do
Yoda has a history. The Jedi Council has a history. Obi-Wan Kenobi from day one in 1977 has a history of not exposing the entire truth to make sure it benefits them. This is what the story of the Jedi is. I am so sorry that the Jedi are not these paragons of virtue that you believed they were. But the story has always been this. The story has always been that the Jedi tell the story from a certain point of view.
But I just thought, I mean, It's my show. Yeah, Leslye, it's your show. And it's also you that are going to take the burden of the destruction of all of the characters. And you're going to take the flack for it. You want to play with these characters. You want to say, I mean, it's my show. Well, it's not your Star Wars.
Oh, the gatekeeper comes out. There it is. This is a guy who creates videos and presents it as if he knows Star Wars better than those making Star Wars. And you know what? You may love his videos. And I don't enjoy the Vader movie short film he created. To me, was just lightsaber violence porn. There was no story to be seen there. So to talk about story and ownership theory, they are not going to call you for a story.
It's everyone's Star Wars. It's George Lucas's Star Wars. And
it's everyone's Star Wars. He said it. He said it, which means it's not your Star Wars, which means stop gatekeeping. The Star Wars that's out there now is coming from experienced, talented creators. And whether you like that story or not, doesn't mean that it is not Star Wars. Plain and simple.
We need to understand that everything that came before has to be respected.
What was disrespected? You better be saying what's going to be what was disrespected in this next bit.
Can't fuck with these characters and play around with them because it's my show. Okay, you need to really understand.
How has she fucked around with these characters? How has she changed lore? How has she done things that don't make sense to what we already know to be Star Wars?
You need to really understand what you are doing, what you are playing with. You're playing with legendary characters, the world's biggest IP ever. And you are playing around with that because you think it would be something interesting and fun to do because it's my show.
This is coming from the guy who is playing around with Star Wars IP because he thought it was to be something fun and interesting to do because it's my show. Listen to what you're saying.
You want to put your stamp of your name on something, do it with something else, man. Make your own original whatever. What?
Somebody play that back for Star Wars Theory. Somebody grab that and play that back for him. If you want to do something fun, do it in something in your own IP. This man has made a living. He makes 6+ figures a year talking about Star Wars, promoting a Star Wars fan film that he created, selling knockoff lightsabers. If you want to do something in your own IP. Do your own thing. Do you hear what he just said? How does this make any sense?
Or Season 6 reveals that Yoda wanted to hide the information of who actually created the clone army. Okay, right. That is nowhere near. The damage has already been done. Clone army has been created. That is nowhere near him hiding the deaths of Jedi from his Jedi High Council, who is supposed to be the #1 beacon of truth, clarity, and honesty amongst each other.
Has he watched the prequels? Does he know what happened in the prequels? In fact, the Jedi doing exactly what he just said is the reason the prequels exist, the reason Darth Vader exists, the reason Emperor Palpatine exists. Everything he just talked about is the reason we have a Star Wars saga.
If you now have not only Ki-Adi Mundi hiding information such as this, you now have the top of the top, the Jedi Grand Master, Yoda, hiding this information from everyone else because he thinks they can't handle it. We better just not tell anybody. Well, then
again, where did he get that from? Where did he get that from? These takes are awful.
Cool. How about we go forwards and we now realize, all right, so Ki-Adi Mundi kept this information. Yoda kept this information.
I'm going to say it again because it's not getting through. Ki-Adi Mundi kept information about a tragedy on Brendok, which then became officially put into the books as a rogue Jedi named Sol. So Ki-Adi Mundi, you can take that out of your argument. That is a bullshit argument that you keep alive so that you can keep people angry about something that is absolutely 100% not the case.
Plagueis was always in the show, though. Plagueis was the plan in terms of revealing him and establishing him in live action. My dream was always to introduce him with hands first, because Muns, their forefingers and their middle fingers are longer than the rest of their fingers. That really is a super important detail. I feel like this kind of information is just because someone doesn't know too much about characters, kind of looks at the physical parts of like, oh, what makes them interesting? How can I make myself sound like I really know what I'm talking about by looking at the fingers or little details here and there? And
this to me is infuriating. This is so arrogant and condescending from a guy who's never made a real movie, a guy who has made a living sitting on YouTube talking about stuff that other people do. Yes, he's made a fan film, but watch that fan film and tell me that it's anything other than just saying, wouldn't it be awesome if I showed Darth Vader killing a bunch of things? Because that's all he does.
I think, really the only line that we kind of need to be aware of here is this right here. I mean, it's my show.
This dude is so obsessed with Leslye Headland having made a Star Wars, something he will never ever do, and creating a story that, again, honestly, if you had told Star Wars fans back in the day, you would have gotten this story. Again, I've had issues with the execution. I will not say the show is perfect. The story is excellent. The execution, not so much. But the things that he's saying, he keeps harping on the fact that this is my show, my show, my show from Leslye Headland. To harp on this is just such a childish way to look at this article and to look at the insights she actually gives in here. If you come into this with a positive perspective and say, I want to learn what she was thinking, maybe you'll understand what she's thinking versus looking for ways to beat it up.
Obviously, I love the characters and also love the boundaries we pushed, and that includes the cameos. Again, talking about the pushback. I guess there's some real pushbacks. And
there's going to be pushback. That's why there's a story group. And that's why you need to be confident that the usage of Yoda, Plagueis, and Ki-Adi Mundi was officially sanctioned from Lucasfilm. And I'm sorry, buddy, but that's what's canon now. That's what is canon. This entire 19 minutes is you rambling on about things that are not even either A, canon, or B, brought up yet in the show.
This girl that accidentally creates a religion through her own evolution to survive. So she's the first to force choke. She's the first to bleed a crystal. She's the how does any of that make sense? There were Sith before her, so obviously they had red lightsabers. So is no one force choked before?
Okay. Again, shit that was not seen on screen, shit that was not said on screen. Nowhere do they say she's the first to force choke. Nowhere do they say that she was the first to bleed a lightsaber. Nowhere does she say that she was the first to have a red lightsaber. Come on, theory.
Like, whole idea of like, you have to kill him without using a weapon. It's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure Sith thousands of years ago, if you're going to interject.
It was a lesson from a Sith master. Dude. It was a lesson from a Sith master saying, you must kill this Jedi without using a weapon. So yeah, it's right on track, brother.
And when there's a huge pushback from a company that still has some integrity at some...
He's overplaying the huge pushback. He's making that the crux of the argument. The pushback, as she even said, it was a spirited conversation. He's left that out since he said it the first time. It was a spirited conversation. It was not necessarily you can't do that, and she's fighting for it. She's fighting for what she believes is best for the story.
Point. There's still some people there who really adhere to the George Lucas rules of Star Wars.
The George Lucas rules of Star Wars, gatekeeper. The George Lucas rules of Star Wars. George created the universe and he sold it. And there's new storytellers telling stories in his universe. This actually speaks more to the power of George Lucas than people not writing new stuff. George has created a universe that allows people to play in it and allows people to expand on what his vision was. And that is what happens when you are a great storyteller.
You got to question yourself and be like, okay, I know you want this on your resume. Leslye, I know you want this because you're proud of it now and you want it to be your show.
Yes, she should be proud of it. It's a good story.
You know, it's my show, so I should have all say and do whatever I want for my show. That is,
yes, it's her show. She was the director, the writer. She put the show together, the concepts. She went to the story group and worked through the story with them. She got pushback, as she should, which means she was pushing the boundaries. To be so focused on this is my show, it was her show. And she is taking responsibility for it. And she's giving articles or interviews, talking to people about what she did and why she did it, trying to give some insight. But you're too worried about looking for problems and looking for ways to discredit her instead of looking at this amazing research and amazing perspective she brought to Star Wars, probably more so than anybody outside of Dave Filoni.
That is so ridiculous. That is so egotistical, narcissistic, and self-centered. It's not.
That's a bad take. That is a bad take. She put the show together. I just said it. I'm not going to say it again. It's frustrating, man. It really is.
Your fucking show. It is Star Wars.
Star Wars belongs to everyone, right? The story belongs to the new creators. I'm sorry. George sold it. He's $4 billion richer. And now the story belongs to everybody and belongs to a new generation of creators. And dude, if you can't handle that, then maybe it's time you move off of this shit and just watch the stuff that you enjoy.
Yep, I put Yoda, I put Plagueis there. I put Plagueis, first person to ever, I'm the first woman to ever put Plagueis into live action. I mean,
where does she say that? Where does she say that that was her objective? My God, man, you are just trying your best to create negativity and toxicity and aggression about something she didn't say. Go back. I urge everybody. I will put the link to this article in the description below. Read the article. She has done a wonderful job of telling you what went into making these decisions and why she built the show the way she did. And all this guy is doing is tearing it down for whatever reason. I'll tell you why, because it gets views, it keeps the toxicity out there, which keeps him making money and selling more of his knockoff sabers. But this is the issue. Read the article. We have never seen a creator give us more information about what she's done as quickly as she has in a way to make us understand those decisions. And you may not like the decisions, but these were the decisions that were made.
I do wish every other director that comes into Star Wars would be as sort of detail oriented as she is in the case of, looking at Plagueis's fingers and this and that. But really,
it kind of sounds like he's giving her a compliment. But wait, here it comes.
Any fan can do that. Any Star Wars fan can do that. I mean, you're just looking at, you have eyes, thankfully. You can look, but it goes so much deeper than that. And the understanding of the characters and how they actually work. And the Jedi are...
What he's proving actually is that he doesn't understand the characters at all. Again, he's too hell-bent on finding problems and taking issue that he's missing all these points.
Supposed to be the top. They're the good guys. They fucked up a lot in the prequel trilogy.
Yes, there's a history of the Jedi trying to deal with this power that they have, this and failing. It's part of the Jedi legacy, like it or not.
And only an amateur would really do that. But I guess that's what happens when you're really pushing for stuff to be put in, getting a major push.
Again, with the pushback on putting things in, he has said this over and over and over. And she is telling you why she made those decisions. Read the fucking article.
Pushback from a company, and you just want to do it because it's my show.
This is from the guy, I'll say it again, who has made a living, a career out of the piggybacking on the back of everything Star Wars. This dude has done nothing original in his life. The Vader film is the closest thing to original. It's piggybacking on an IP that somebody else has created. He's just a YouTuber who has discovered that being negative for clicks, that's how he makes his money.
I think that's, a lot of this interview really speaks for itself. And I think
a lot of the interview does speak for itself. So read the fucking article.
Thanks for watching this video. Let me know what you think about Yoda and Plagueis and her sentiments. And if you like the show, good for you. If you don't like the show, good for you. See you guys later.
God, that was awful. Well, thanks for joining me for this. I needed the release. I needed to respond. I really do believe that he didn't fully give that article the opportunity to do what it was designed to do. He was too focused on finding fault, too focused on maintaining this headcanon that he has, and he has put into the heads of 3.3 million fans that follow him. Again, I didn't love everything about the Acolyte. I loved the story. Everything he didn't like, I take issue with, because I think he missed the point. Read the article in inverse. Read it for yourself without the voiceover, and take a look at it from the perspective that I did, which is that Leslye Headland gave us insight. So whether you liked it or not, now you understand where it came from, and that is really powerful and important and helpful. Well, thank you so much for watching. I hope I didn't piss too many people off, but the reality is, as I watched that video and as you saw me respond to him responding, a lot of his points are just so based in his own reality that I felt the need to share. And leave your comments below. I'd love to hear what you think. Make sure to check out some of our other videos. Check out our show live on Thursday nights, where we do talk about things, and we give both opinions. We give positive and negative. We just want Star Wars to be fun and to be as good as it can be, and something that we can all enjoy together. Thanks for watching.